Super Mario RPG, The Legend of Seven Stars, a fan art novel by Samuel McCullen. Prologue. When the sky broke, morning light spilled over the rolling hills of Mushroom Kingdom, bathing the thatched rooftops of Toad Town in gold. Dew clung to the grass like tiny jewels, and somewhere in the distance, the waterfall near Mario's home sung in a familiar tune. It was supposed to be a peaceful day, but Mario's world rarely allowed for peace for long. A high-pitched scream ripped through the morning air. Not just any scream, but her scream. Princess Toadstool. Mario's gloved hands tightened into fists. Without a thought, he bolted from his home, red cap flaring in the wind. The path to Bowser's Keep was muscle memory now. Jump over the stone ledge, vault over the Goombas, sprint past the piranha plants. Within minutes, the black spires of Bowser's fortress pierced the horizon like claws. The great iron doors swung open with a groan, and Mario charged inside. A familiar scene awaited him. Princess Toadstool dangled from a chandelier high above the throne room, her delicate gown swaying. Bowser stood on the opposite chandelier, laughing with all of the arrogance of a king who thought the story would end the way it always did. "Mario!" the princess cried. Bowser's teeth gleamed. "You're too predictable, plumber. And today, I'm in the mood to win." Mario leapt, landing on Bowser's chandelier with a thud that rattled the chains. The two enemies locked eyes, years of rivalry burning between them. The battle was a swift and fierce one. Mario ducked, rolled, and countered with a perfectly timed uppercut to the chain holding Bowser's platform. Sparks flew. The chain snapped. Bowser plummeted into darkness with a howl. Mario reached for the princess. "Come on!" The world exploded. A blinding flash tore across the sky. The ceiling above the throne room split open like parchment. Out of the heavens descended a massive, gleaming sword with jagged teeth, eyes blazing with malice. Its voice was not a roar, but a cold, metallic grinding. "I am Zor. This kingdom belongs to the Smithy Gang now." The sword struck the castle, the impact throwing Mario and Toadstool in the air. The floor crumbled, walls shattered, and the world dissolved into chaos. Chapter 1. The Starless Sky. Mario woke on the grassy slope outside of his cottage, the afternoon sun blinding his eyes. For a moment, he thought it had been a dream, but the ache in his body and the echo of that voice told him otherwise. "Mario, Mario!" Toad came sprinting up the path, his mushroom cap bobbing wildly. He was breathless, panic written all over his face. "It's the princess. She's gone again. In Bowser's castle." He gulped. "It's different. You gotta see it." The two raced the cliffside that overlooked the valley. Far in the distance, Bowser's Keep still loomed, but the air above it shimmered like heat on stone. Dark clouds twisted unnaturally, and high above them, the faint glimmer of stars was gone. Mario felt it in his gut. The night sky would never look the same again. Chapter 2. The Boy Who Thought He Was a Tadpole. The Mushroom Way was unusually a cheerful stretch of Meadowland. The Mushroom Way was usually a cheerful stretch of Meadowland, winding paths between gentle hills, spotted with wildflowers, and the occasional curious Goomba. But today, the air felt heavier, as though the land itself had been holding its breath since the sky broke. Mario's boots crunched over the grass. Every few steps, a rustle in the bushes made him tense, expecting another ambush. Word of the strange invaders had been spreading faster than fire on dry brush, and the normally timid monsters had become restless. He was halfway to the Mushroom Kingdom gates when the shouting began. "Give it back, you big! Hey, come on!" Mario rounded a bend to find a strange sight. A small, round, marshmallowy boy, white fluff for hair, stubby arms and legs, bouncing after a gang of knife-wielding crocodiles in leather vests. The lead croc twirled a coin pouch in his claws, flashing a toothy grin. "Sorry, kid," the croc sneered. "Finders keepers." Mario's instincts kicked in. With a leap and a spin, he landed squarely on the nearest crocodile's head, knocking him into the dirt. The others scattered, cursing under their breath as they fled into the hills. The little marshmallow boy looked up at Mario with wide, watery eyes. "Whoa, that was amazing. You're Mario, right?" "The Mario." Mario gave a modest nod. The boy's mood dimmed almost instantly. They took my frog coin. I was supposed to use that to buy, well, never mind. I'm Mallow, and he fidgeted, avoiding Mario's gaze. I'm a tadpole. Mario tilted his head. Tadpole? The kid was all fluff, no tail, no scales. But he didn't press the issue. Mallow, however, seemed eager to prove himself. Look, I can fight too. He lifted his stubby arms, and the sky darkened. A sudden downpour drenched them both in seconds. Mario blinked. Weather magic? This kid wasn't ordinary. Frog Fuchsia says, I have a gift. Huh? That's my grandfather. He lives in Tadpole Pond. But right now, I'm heading to the Mushroom Kingdom to get help. Things have been weird lately. Monsters are acting crazy, and his voice dropped. People say the stars aren't granting wishes anymore. Mario's stomach sank. He thought of the starless sky over Bowser's Keep. Will you help me? Mallow asked, eyes hopeful. Mario smiled, giving a thumbs up. So the plumber and the self-proclaimed tadpole set off together towards the Mushroom Kingdom, unaware that their meeting had been written in the heavens, long before either of them had been born. Chapter 3. The Living Doll. The Mushroom Kingdom gates were usually a welcome sight. Friendly toad guards waving, shops bustling, laughter in the square. But when Mario and Mallow arrived, the air felt tense. Merchants spoke in hushed voices. Doors closed just a little too quickly when strangers passed. Inside the inn, the owner leaned over the counter, whispering, You headed to Rose Town? Be careful. Folks say it's cursed. Arrows coming out of nowhere. Pin people right where they stand. Can't move, can't speak, just stuck. Mallow's eyes widened. That's awful. The innkeeper nodded gravely. And they say it started right after the sky changed. The innkeeper nodded gravely. And they say it started right after the sky changed. They set out that morning. The path to Rosetown wound through wooded hills. The trees so thick the sun barely reached the ground. It was there they heard the first An arrow shot through the tree line, burying itself in the dirt at Mallow's feet. He yelped and leapt back. Another arrow zipped past Mario's ear, and then, from deeper in the forest, the faint sound of laughter. By then, they had reached the village. The scene was eerie. Toad's villagers stood frozen in mid-step, arrows jetting from their hats and sleeves. Their eyes were wide, unblinking. Mario, Mallow whispered. I don't think these are normal arrows. A warm light flickered in the window of a nearby house. Inside, they found a toad couple and their young son. They were the only ones in the town who could still move. The boy was seated on the floor, clutching a small wooden doll, a curious figure with a blue cape, yellow stars on its chest, and an oddly stern expression carved into its face. I play with Gino every night, the boy explained. He fights the bad guys while I sleep. That night, Mario and Mallow stayed with the family, but sometime after midnight, Mario stirred to a faint creak. He opened his eyes just in time to see a wooden doll, Gino, rise to its feet. Its wooden joints moved with a strange precision. The glassy eyes glowed faint blue. Without a glance back, it stepped towards the door, the wind outside carrying a voice. Mario and Mallow followed in silence, hearts pounding. In the forest clearing beyond Rosetown, they saw the truth. The doll wasn't just alive. It fought with deadly grace, launching blasts of searing energy out of its hands. The enemy? A cloaked, grinning figure who commanded the arrows. Bowyer, a lieutenant of the mysterious invaders. Who are you? Mallow shouted over the chaos. The doll's voice was calm, but layered with something otherworldly. I'm called Gino, though my true name is unpronounceable to you. I come from the Star Road, the place where all the wishes are granted. Bowyer fired an arrow that split the air with a scream. Gino sidestepped, raised his hand, unleashing a beam of light that scorched the ground. The Star Road, Gino continued. never taking his glowing eyes off Bowyer, has been shattered into 7 pieces. Without them, no wish can come true. No one, the one called the Smithies, has stole them to forge a world of weapons. I'm here to reclaim the pieces, and I will need your help. Mario glanced at Mallow. The boy's eyes were wide, but there is no hesitation in his nod. There was no hesitation in his nod. The 3 of them turned as one towards Bowyer. The lieutenant's grin faltered for the first time. For the first time, the heroes of the Mushroom Kingdom stood together, Plumber, Tadpole, and Living Star Warrior, against the storm that was coming. Chapter 4. The Crocodile Chase. The morning after Bowyer's defeat, Rosetown began to breathe again. The frozen villagers stirred, rubbing their arms and legs, still unsure how much of the nightmare had been real. Mario, Mallow, and Gino sat at a table in the inn, the remains of breakfast between them. Sunlight poured through the window, but Gino's gaze was far away, fixed not on the food but the sky. Finally, Mallow broke the silence. So you said you were from the Star Road? But what is that? Is that like Nimbus Land? Gino turned to him, the blue of his cape catching the light. His carved face betrayed no expression, but his voice softened. The Star Road is not a place you can walk to, young one. It exists above the highest clouds, beyond the moon's path, a river of light that flows across the heavens. Every wish born from a hopeful heart drifts upwards like a spark, carried by the currents of that road. There, we of the star spirits hear them. Mario leaned forward listening. Some of the wishes are small, a child hoping for sweets. Others are deep, a farmer asking for rain to save his fields, a soldier praying for peace. We tend to them all. But the road broke. Gino's voice darkened. The river went dry. Wishes now wander in the void, lost. Without the road, hope will wither. Mallow frowned. So you came here to fix it? I was sent, Gino said, by the elders of the Star Road. My true form is not of this wooden shell. It is light, but in this realm, light alone cannot fight. I took the body of the doll so I could walk among you, wield your world's weapons, and strike at the Smithy gang from within. Mario imagined it, a warrior made from starlight, descending from a river in the sky. It made even his years of fighting Bowser seem small. Before they could speak further, the innkeeper burst into the room. Trouble in the south. Croc's gang has been sighted near the Kiro sewers. They've taken half of the miner supplies from Moleville. Mallow leapt to his feet. That's them. The ones who stole my frog coin. Mario tightened his gloves. Gino rose without a word, his hands already resting on his strange, star-shaped weapon. That's the end of their thieving, Gino said. The trails to Moleville wound through a damp, echoing sewer and rocky passes. Croc's gang wasn't subtle. Their clawed footprints and discarded loot littered the path. When they finally caught up, Croc was laughing on top of a cart piled high with stolen goods, tossing a golden watch from one of his claws to the other. Well, if it ain't that fluff ball and his mustache babysitter. The Croc smirked. Then his eyes flickered at Gino. And that creepy puppet. You're late. I already sold half of this haul. You'll return what's left, Gino said calmly. And you'll tell us what's going on with the Smithy gang. Croc's grin widened. Smithy gang? Never heard of them. I just take what I want. That's the crocodile way. The fight erupted in an instant. Croc darted and leapt with a surprising speed, tossing smoke bombs and scattering explosives. Mallow called lightning down from the clouds. Mario vaulted into his famous stomps, and Gino's hands glowed as he unleashed bursts of starlight that burned brighter than fire. The clash ending with Croc fleeing into the hills, shouting promises of revenge. Stolen goods were returned, and the miners of Moleville welcomed the heroes as saviors. That night, by the campfire outside town, Gino stood apart from the others, staring at the constellations. Mallow sat beside him. Do you miss it? Your real form? The boy asked quietly. Gino didn't look away from the sky. I miss the way the road sounded. Like a million voices, all whispering their hopes at once. I miss knowing that even in the smallest hearts, light was alive. Mario listened nearby, felt a weight settle over him. This quest wasn't just about saving a kingdom anymore. It was about mending something far greater. Chapter 5. The Battle in Mauve Mines. The miners of Mauville were hardly folk, short, stocky, and built for the stone they live under. But when Mario's group arrived, the usually bustling town was quiet. The only sound was a faint rumble beneath the earth, like a heartbeat. A mole woman hurried towards them. "Please, you gotta help. My boy and his friend were exploring the mines after the last cave-in, but now they're trapped, and something is in there with them." Mallow straightened. "We'll get him out." Mario nodded, already moving towards the mine entrance. Gino followed, his glowing eyes scanning the shadows ahead. Inside, the air was thick with dust and the scent of raw earth. Lantern light flickered along the walls, casting their shadows tall and strange. Every few steps, the ground trembled, as if something large was moving deeper in the tunnels. They found the boys first, perched on a ledge above a collapsed passage, their little miner helmets askew. "We saw a shiny thing," one of them cried. But then the big guy showed up and the tunnel shook violently. Rocks fell, and then from the darkness a booming laugh echoed. Punchinello. That's a weird ass name. Punchinello. He emerged from the shadows like a walking forge, a squint, barrel-shaped creature with a jester's cap and eyes that burned like embers. "Well, looky here," Punchinello growled. "I was hoping for more workers, but I'll take playing with you three instead." Mario stepped towards, fist raised. Gino's hands began to glow, drawing a bead of light from the air. "You've got something that doesn't belong to you," Gino said evenly. "A star piece. Hand it over." Punchinello roared with laughter. This shiny little thing? It's mine now. And you'll have to blow me to bits to take it." The battle was chaos. Punchinello hurled bombs from his sleeves, small ones at them, then enormous spiked spears that rolled across the cavern floors. Mario vaulted from rock to rock, slamming the explosives back towards the thrower. Mallow's storms turned the dust into thick, clinging mud, slowing Punchinello's movements. But it was Gino who ended it. He planted his wooden feet into the stone, raised both hands, and let loose a blast of pure starlight. It struck Punchinello square in his chest, sending him spinning into the wall. The jester let out a final startled grunt before collapsing into the rubble. The star piece hovered in the air, a shard of the crystal light, its glow, warm and alive. Mario reached out, and the moment his fingers brushed it, the air seemed to hum. Mallow was in awe. "It's beautiful." Gino's gaze hardened, but there was reverence in his tone. "One of 7. The road has already begun to mend, but this is only the first step. Each piece we claim weakens Smithy's hold on the world and strengthens his desire to destroy us." Mario slid the star piece into a pouch at his belt. It felt heavier than it looked, not just in weight, but in meaning. They left the mines to cheers and grateful thanks from the townsfolk. But even in the celebration, Mario felt it. The true journey had just begun. Chapter 6. Storm over the Skies Bridge. The road east from Molesville wound into higher country, where the air thinned and the land dropped away into vast valleys. Bridges of rope and wood stretched between the peaks, swaying in the wind, and at the far end of the longest one, Mario could see a towering fortress of mismatched architecture, stacked like a child's building blocks. "That's Booster Tower," Mallow explained, adjusting his tiny traveling pack. "They say it's full of toys and trains and a guy who collects things." "By things, said, you mean treasures, right? And by treasures, you mean trouble." Halfway across the sky bridge, a shadow passed him. Mario looked up, and there he was, Bowser. Not with an army, not with his usual swagger, but hunched over, trudging across the opposite span, with only a handful of ragged Goombas and shy-looking Koopa Troopers at his back. His shell was scuffed, his horns dulled. He spotted Mario, his face darkened. "Oh great, you." Mario crossed his arms. Bowser growled, but it lacked bite. "Don't start. I've had a bad week. My castle, My castle is gone. Some giant sword with a face dropped out of the sky, and now I'm a king without a keep. My troops are defecting. Half of them joined the Smithies gang already. Are you happy? Mallow blinked. Wait, you're not with Smithy? Bowser's snout curled. I don't work for anyone, please. And the Smithy creep is on my turf. So here's the deal, Mustache. You're going after him, and I'm going after him. So we team up, and he's scrap metal. Then I take back my castle, and we go back to the usual. I kidnap the princess, and you chase me thing. Deal? Mario hesitated. Just long enough for Mallow to whisper, we kinda need him. Big guy like that could help. Finally, Mario extended a hand. Bowser stared at it for a long moment, then shook it with a reluctant grunt. They crossed the last span together, but the uneasy truce was tested almost immediately. The great gates of Booster Tower were wide open, and inside, the chaos was unmistakable. Gino's voice dropped low. They've taken someone. Mario's stomach turned. Princess Toadstool's pink gown was visible for just a moment, vanishing into an upper balcony as a pack of strange, mustached men in suits scurried after her. Bowser's eyes widened. Wait, she's here? His tail lashed. Out of my way, I'm... But before he could charge, the tower door slammed shut behind them. The climb through Booster Tower was like walking through the mind of a mad child. Hallways painted in garish colors. Rooms filled with mechanical trains, stuffed animals twice Mario's size, and puzzles that made no sense at all. And always, somewhere above them, the booming laugh of Booster himself, the rotund man with wild eyes, and a penchant for shouting commands at invisible servants. When they finally reached the top, Booster stood behind the princess, grinning from ear to ear. I'm getting married today, he announced proudly. To this lovely lady who just appeared in my tower. Peach tried to speak, but a Shy Guy gag muffled her voice. Bowser's claws fixed. That's my job, Tower Boy. The fight was quick and chaotic. Booster's groomsmen hurled bombs made of wind-up toys, and the man himself charged like a runaway train. Bowser ducked and rolled. Mallow summoned rain to make the floor slick. Bowser bowled through the enemies like a living wrecking ball. In the end, Booster fled. Peach was freed, and Bowser stood looking more awkward than Mario had ever seen him. She turned to the plumber first. Mario, thank goodness. Bowser cleared his throat loudly. You're welcome. For the rescue, which I totally helped with a lot. Peach's eyebrows arched, but she smiled faintly. Of course. Outside the tower, the unlikely group looked over the Mushroom Kingdom. Far in the distance, beyond the rolling green hills, the dark shape of Zor still loomed. Gino broke the silence. 1 star piece down, 6 to go. Bowser snorted, fine. But when we're done, my castle comes first. Mario gave a small nod, hiding the smile tugging at the corner of his mouth. Chapter 7. The Sunken Ship. The ocean was gray that morning. The kind of gray that swallowed the horizon and blurred the lines between water and sky. Waves rolled sluggishly under a thick fog, and the air carried a cold bite of salt and decay. From the pier, the fisherman's warning still echoed in Mario's ears. Some ships stay sunk. Others don't like being disturbed. Their destination was a legend whispered by sailors. A galleon that had vanished decades ago, swallowed by a storm so sudden it left no survivors. The wreck had been found by divers years later, lodged deep in a coral trench. Most avoided it, claiming strange lights glowed from its hull at night. But according to Gino, a star piece had fallen there, and if the piece was inside, they had no choice but to retrieve it. They took a small skiff out into the mists. The water turned darker as they rowed, and soon the silhouette of a sunken ship emerged. Half buried in the seafloor, its splintered masts reaching upwards like skeletal hands. Bowser grumbled, but even he kept his voice low. This place smells like wet ghosts. A flicker of movement passed behind a shattered porthole. Inside, the ship felt alive. Floorboards creaked under their boots. Not from their weight, but from some deep, slow breathing. Water dripped in steady rhythms, and every so often, a faint metallic clink rang through the darkness, chains swaying in some unseen current. The corridors were lined with rotting hammocks, each still holding the shadowy impression of a body. Empty eye sockets seemed to follow them from the carved figureheads mounted along the walls. Mallow shivered. It feels like they're watching. They are, Gino said without hesitation. The deeper they went, the colder it became. At the heart of the wreck, they found the source of the noises, a sealed captain's cabin. That's like a goddamn, a sealed captain's cabin. Its door chained shut from the outside. When Mario pried the chains loose, the door swung open with a groan, and the cold hit them like a fist. Inside, hunched over a treasure chest, was a massive blooper. Pale as moonlight, with eyes that burned an unnatural green, it spoke in a voice that was more pressure than sound. You seek a star? But the star is mine. Tentacles erupted, wrapping around pillars and snapping planks in half. The fight was brutal in the camped cabin. Bowser wrestling with coils thick as tree trunks, Mallow blasting bursts of freezing rain, and Gino firing lances of starlight that lit the room with lightning. Finally, Mario vaulted high, came down hard with a stomp, and sent the creature crashing, rotting floorboards into the black water below. The treasure chest cracked open. Inside, nestled among rusty coins and sea glass, lay a star piece, glowing softly, its light almost blue in the gloom. As Mario lifted it, the temperature in the room warmed. The creaks of the ship grew softer. The presence that had been pressing on their minds faded into nothing. Still, as they rowed back to the shore, Mallow glanced over his shoulders at the ship, receding into the fog. Do you think it's really gone? Gino's gaze stayed fixed at the horizon. Ghosts are only gone when they've finished their business, and I think that one still has a storm to finish. The journey to Nimbus Land began with a climb. Not a short trek up a mountain path, but an ascending through cloud ladders that swayed in the wind, each step feeling like it could dissolve underfoot. Mallow had been unusually quiet since they left the coast. His usual chatter about what they would eat next, or silly jokes to break the tension, was gone. Mario noticed the way the boy kept glancing upwards, as though the clouds above might be hiding the answers he's been chasing all his life. When they finally broke through the mists into the sunlit kingdom, it was like stepping into another world. Towers of soft white stone spiraled towards the sky. Gardens floated on puffs of cloud. The air was rich with the scent of rain before it falls. Mallow stopped in his tracks. It's beautiful. Bowser crossed his arms. Looked squishy, but the beauty was fractured. The streets were almost empty. Guards stood tense in every corner and strange, over-decorated balloon animals of a man. Valentina had plastered her image across the banners and fountains. As they wandered deeper, whispers reached Mallow's ears. Have you ever heard of the prince? Have you ever seen the prince? They say he vanished as a baby. Valentina says the king is ill, but she never lets anyone see him. Gino shot Mallow a glance. Sounds like your grandfather might have been keeping a very big secret. They made their way into the palace, where Valentina greeted them with a syrupy smile that didn't reach her eyes. Her pet Dodo, a hulking bird in a ridiculous crown, loomed behind her. Well, well, Valentina purred. Travelers from below. I'm afraid the king and queen are far too ill for visitors. Terribly contagious. You understand. Mario's eyes narrowed. But Mallow wasn't looking at Valentina. He was staring past her, through the open door, into the throne room. an empty space beside the two cloud-like figures slumped on their thrones. The queen's gaze was vacant, the king's breath shallow, and on the armrest of the king's seat was a small, tattered baby blanket, embroidered with the same raindrop pattern Mallow had on his own scarf. That night, huddled in a quiet inn-room, Mallow finally spoke. All my life, I thought I was a tadpole. I thought maybe I'd grow a tail someday, and then I'd finally fit in. But now, his voice cracked. Now I think I've been missing home this whole time, and I didn't even know it. Mario put his hands on his shoulders. I don't even know them, Mallow went on. What if they don't want me? What if they look at me and see a stranger? Gino's voice was calm but firm. Family is not only who raises you, and not only who you were born to. It's who stands beside you when you're lost. Today, that's us. Tomorrow, it might be them too. The next day, they stormed the palace. Valentina's lies crumbled quickly under the combined forces of Mario's speed, Bowser's brute strength, and Mallow's magic, and Gino's unerring precision. I hope that's a word. Dodo fled squawking, and the tyrant was driven from the Nimbus, and the tyrant was driven from Nimbus land in a flurry, and the tyrant was driven from Nimbus land in a flurry of feathers and broken pride. When the dust settled, Mallow approached the thrones. His voice trembled. Mom? Dad? The queen gasped, covering her mouth. The king's eyes brimmed with tears. Our son. And then Mallow was in their arms, sobbing into the soft cloud of their embrace. Mario looked away to give them a moment, but the sound of it, the raw, shaking relief, stayed with him. That night, Nimbus Land celebrated. The sky itself had been reborn. Lanterns floated upwards, carrying wishes into the stars. Mallow stood with his parents. But when he crossed Mario's eyes, he crossed the courtyard and hugged him tight. I'm going to keep going, Mallow said. This is home, but the Star Road is broken. And if wishes can't be granted, none of this will last. Mario smiled. No words were needed. Chapter 9. The Climb to Barrow Volcano. The trail from Nimbus Land to the volcano cut through sheer cliff faces, narrow ledges, and crumbling bridges that swayed over dizzying drops. The air grew hotter with each step, and the once bright clouds overhead thinned into a haze of ash. By that time, they had reached the volcano's base. The ground was warm enough to make their boots smoke. Make their boots smoke. Bowser smirked. Finally, a climate I can respect. Mallow tugged at his scarf. I feel like I'm melting. Gino's eyes glowed faintly as he studied the massive blackened crater ahead. The star pieces inside. But so is something else. Something Smithy is sent to guard it. The descent began like a slow, methodical crawl. Narrow tunnels twisted downwards. The walls, sweating heat. Pools of molten rock hissed and bubbled just feet away from their path. Sometimes the only way forward was a leap from one sinking stone platform to another, the lava licking at their heels and his feet. In one chamber, the air shimmered so violently from the heat, it seemed like they were walking through liquid fire. Shadows flickered along the walls. But when Mario looked directly, there was nothing there, only the echo of claws scraping against stone. They found the source soon enough. Caesar Dragon rose from a lake of lava, like some ancient nightmare. Scales the color of cold obsidian, eyes like twin furnaces, steam bellowing from its nostrils. It didn't roar so much as rumble, a deep, bone-shaking sound that made the entire cavern tremble. Bowser grinned. Finally, a fight worth my time. The battle was chaos. The dragon swept its tail in arcs that shattered rock. Mallow summoned bursts of rain that turned steam before they even touched the ground, buying them precious seconds to move. Gino's starlight blast carved smoking craters into the beast's armor, and Mario leapt from pillar to pillar, striking at its vulnerable joints. But every wound they dealt, the volcano answered with a fresh surge of lava, shrinking the safe ground until they were fighting on a handful of crumbling stones. With a roar that split the cavern, Caesar Dragon lunged. And in that moment, Gino called out, "Now!" Mario sprang high. Bowser met the beast head-on, and Mallow sent a final bolt of lightning straight down the dragon's throat. The explosion of light and heat nearly threw them into the lava. When the steam cleared, the dragon was gone, leaving only ripples in the molten pool. Floating above it, spinning slowly, was a star piece. Mario reached for it, but before his fingers touched the light, the volcano rumbled. This time, it wasn't the dragon. It was the mountain itself. "Time to go," Gino barked. They ran. Stones gave way underfoot, lava bursting through the cracks, and smoke filled the air. By the time they stumbled out into the open sky, the mountain behind them was roaring like a living thing, spewing a column of ash high into the clouds. Bowser brushed ash from his spikes. "That was fun. Let's do it again." Mario just shook his head, clutching the star piece tightly. 5 down, 2 to go. Chapter 10. The Factory Gates. The sky was choked with smoke, a dull orange haze that turned the sunlight into a sickly glow. The land around the factory was scattered. Twisted metal, shattered buildings, and a constant clang of machinery echoed like a heartbeat of iron. This was no ordinary place. It was a factory of war, a monstrous forge where Smithy's vision was grinding the world into weapons. Mario, Mallow, Gino, and Bowser approached the iron gates, massive and locked tight, their surface covered in strange symbols that pulsed faintly with dark energy. The air buzzed with menace, every breath tasting like rust and ash. "We're close," Gino said, his wooden face grim. "The star piece, the last ones are here, but Smithy's grip is strongest here. We'll need to be ready." Bowser cracked his knuckles. "Good. Let him send his worst. I'm ready to crush them all." Suddenly, a mechanical roar split the air. From the shadows emerged a towering automaton. Half machine, half nightmare, its glowing red eyes scanning them with cruel intelligence. "Smithy sent his guardian," Mallow whispered, heart pounding. The battle began with a deafening clash as Mario and Bowser launched themselves at the machine, while Gino unleashed blinding starlight and Mallow summoned storms that hissed against the steel. Each strike echoed with desperation. This was more than a fight for survival. It was a battle for the very soul of their world. As the automaton collapsed in a shower of molten metal, the gates groaned open, revealing the heart of the factory, a dark forge pulsing with raw power. Mario stepped forward, star pieces glowing at their sides. "We're coming, Smithies. This ends now." Chapter 11, the final showdown. The air inside Smithy's factory was thick with smoke and molten metal, the walls pulsing like the insides of a colossal beast. The rhythmic clang of the forge hammered through the cavernous space, echoing off steel pillars and pools of glowing lava. Mario, Mallow, Gino, and Bowser stepped cautiously forward, their footsteps swallowed by the oppressive sound. The 7 star pieces that they had gathered hummed softly, a beacon of light against the encroaching darkness. At the center of the factory stood Smithy himself, a towering figure, forged of shining steel and black iron, his jagged metal arms warring with deadly intent. His eyes burned with cold fury as he saw the intruders. "You've come far, but this is where your journey ends." Smithy's voice rang out, grinding like a machine on the verge of collapse. This battle was unlike any they had faced before. Smithy struck with the force of a hammer blow, his weapons transforming into saw blades, drills, and giant fists. Each strike sent shockwaves through the ground, forcing Mario and Bowser to leap, dodge with desperate timing. Gino and Mallow combined their magic, beams of starlight and swirling storms, to keep Smithy off balance, while Mario searched for an opening to land a final blow. Minutes stretched out like hours as the factory shook and groaned under them. Just when hope had seemed to wane, Mario spotted it, a glowing core pulsing beneath Smithy's armor, the source of his power. With a rallying cry, Mario jumped high and brought his fist crashing down onto the core. Light exploded into a blinding flash, and Smithy howled as his metal body shattered, the factory trembling with his defeat. As the dust settled, the sky outside began to clear. The stars returned, twinkling brighter than before, and a gentle breeze carried the scent of a new beginning. Princess Peach smiled, stepping forward to thank the heroes, her eyes shining with gratitude. Mallow looked up at the restored Star Road with wonder. Gino's wooden face seemed almost peaceful, and even Bowser cracked a rare, genuine grin. Mario adjusted his cap, feeling the weight of the adventure behind him and the promise of peace ahead. "Let's go home," he said. Epilogue. Wishes in the night. The Mushroom Kingdom was alive again. Its colors, its laughter fuller, and its nights painted with the gentle glow of stars once lost. Mario stood on a hill overlooking the kingdom, the cool breeze tugging at his cap. Beside him, Mallow hummed softly, watching the clouds drift lazily by, while Gino sat quietly, a faint glow lingering in his wooden eyes. Bowser lounged nearby, arms crossed, but with a small, almost shy smile tugging at his lips. "It's strange," Mallow said, breaking the comfortable silence. "I used to think being different meant being alone, but now," he glanced at his friends, "I think it means finding family in unexpected places." Gino nodded slowly. "The Star Road taught me that hope lives in every heart, no matter where it comes from, and that light is strongest when shared." Bowser snorted softly. Yeah. Even I gotta admit, teamwork is not the worst thing." Mario smiled, feeling a deep warmth inside. The road had been long, and the battles fierce, but the journey had challenged them all. Above, the stars twinkled like distant promises, silent witnesses to the wishes made, the friendships forged, and the peace won. And somewhere, carried on the soft night wind, a single star winked down, as if to say, the adventure never truly ends. Peace out.
Uncle Sam needs your vote.